We're going to start this series by solving questions on arrays and strings. And for our first question, you're supposed to implement an algorithm which will help us determine whether our string has all unique characters. And then we're also supposed to try and see whether we can actually solve this without using additional data structures. If you've gone through the Cracking the Coding interview book, I'm certain that you've come across this problem. And this is actually one of the famous problems which have been set during software engineering interviews. And to the solution. So for my first solution, I'm going to use inbuilt Python sets. We know that Python has inbuilt sets, so this is actually one of the easiest ways that you could approach this problem. So let's go for it and see. Create a function. And then as a good programmer, it's good to actually think about different scenarios that could be presented to you. I mean, in this case, you've not been told any other detail about the string. So it's good to actually think about the different scenarios that could be presented to you. I mean, and in this case, our string could actually be having white spaces. Our string could be longer than the ASCII string length. Our string could actually also be having both upper cases and lower cases. So it's actually good to think about different cases. And this is actually one fundamental thing that as a good programmer you need to actually know, that it's actually good to think about different scenarios and different cases when it comes to solving programming problems. I'm going to delete the white spaces in case our string has any white spaces. So I'm going to delete the white spaces by actually replacing the spaces with no space. Another thing that I'm going to do is that I will convert the string to a similar case. So in this case, I'm going to convert it to a lowercase. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check the length of a string. Because if our string is actually longer than the ASCII string length, that means that it actually has duplicate characters in it. So just go ahead and check the length. If the length is longer than 256, you go ahead and return false, because that means that our string actually has duplicate lengths in it. And then otherwise we go ahead and actually check if the string that we've been given has unique characters or not. So we're going to actually check the length of the string and compare it with the length which is of the set formed from the string. So if the length is equal, it's gonna return true, which means that it actually has unique characters, and it's gonna return false if it has duplicate characters. So let's go ahead and test our code. Go ahead and test it. I can use my name here. And then let's run it and see what it's gonna return. It's gonna return false. Why? Because our string actually has duplicate characters. So if we get rid of the duplicates and test it again, let's see what it's gonna bring. True, it's gonna bring true, which means our string actually has unique characters. We can incorporate spaces and see what it's gonna do. And maybe let's incorporate capital uppercase and uppercase letter as well. So let's see. It's gonna return false. Why? Because our code actually has duplicates. Okay, so far our code works fine. So let's go to our second solution, whereby I'm going to use hash tables. So in this solution, we're going to create our hash tables whereby we'll actually store all our characters, and then we'd have a boolean value which should actually indicate what has been encountered. So let's see. I'm going to copy all these cases up here, and then otherwise we would then go ahead and form a hash table or a dictionary, and then we would go ahead and iterate and then check whether the character is in the dictionary. If it is, we return false. Otherwise, and then if we go through the whole loop and we don't find anything, we return true. So let's go ahead and check our code and see what happens, if it actually works. So I'm going to comment this out. So let's go ahead and see if it actually works. Sorry. So false. Why? My string here actually has duplicate characters in it. So we can actually try again. I don't know why it's doing this. It returns true. So our code actually works fine. So our third and final solution is that we're actually going to try and solve it without any data structures at all. So what you're going to do is that we're actually going to compare every character in the string with every other character. So we're going to check and see whether they're equal or they're the same or not. So let's go ahead and see. Can go ahead and copy all these cases here and then bring them down here. Otherwise, we would have to go and loop through our entire string and then loop through every other go through every other character in the string, sorry. And then we will go ahead and check and see if the characters in the string are similar or not. So if they're actually the same, we will return false, because that actually means that our string contains duplicate characters in it. So otherwise we will return true. So let's go ahead and check. We can use she came. So let's try and test this and see if the solution actually works. So she came, which is the second solution here, returns false. Why? Because it has duplicate characters in it. Let me comment this out so that we can actually see that this code actually works. So okay. So this definitely has a duplicate, so yeah, it's gonna return false. Can do something like that. it's going to return true because it has unique characters. So our code actually works. So the time complexity here is O(n) squared, and the space complexity is O(1). Another way that you could actually solve this without using data structures is that you could actually manipulate the string and sort it, and then after sorting it, you'd actually go through the string and check whether every other character is similar to the character before it. So that's another way, and the time complexity there will definitely be O(n) log n. So that's it. We are actually done with our first problem. So I hope that you've actually learned from it and that you've actually gotten to see how you could actually approach such a problem in case you've been asked in any interviewing setting. And I look forward to learning more with you guys, and I hope that through this series that we actually become better engineers and we get to bag those opportunities. And yeah, I hope that we actually get to learn and become better. So I'll see you in the next challenge. So thank you.